Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and man, if you thought WandaVision was a slow burn, this Ray Fisher TV show, I don't think it's ever going to end. And I know I told you I was done, but I can't resist leaked audio. I mean, thanks, Ray. I have a family to feed, so I appreciate being able to put that in a title. It seems so salacious. Let's do it, shall we, guys? I guess let's go through Ray's leaked audio, because apparently now we're going to finally get some evidence. Finally. All right. You know what? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Here's a clip from my final conversation with Warner Media's independent investigator on December 11, 2020. Hopefully it lends itself to the truth of the investigation and to the credibility of my current claims against Walter Hamada's dangerous behavior. Okay, let's hear the audio, shall we?
I know that this is a very time-consuming process, and I know this has not been an easy one by any means. And if ever there were any points in time where I seemed defensive or please.
Ray, you've been a gentleman. You've been a gentleman, and I'll say you've been a man of your word. And that is what we have reported to the company, which is that you told us you would give us names. You gave us names. You told us you would meet with us on a particular day at a particular time. You never tried to reschedule it. You met us. You even gave us information after that. You've been a man of your word. You are someone that we have found extremely credible. And the fact that you risked so much is part of what lends itself to your credibility. But just also, the facts speak for themselves.
Okay. That proves nothing. All right. Let me
I know that this is
break it down
a
for
very
you.
time-consuming process, and I know this has not been an easy one by any means. And if ever there were any points in time where I seemed defensive or please.
Ray, you've been a gentleman.
Okay, he admits to being defensive. Now, I'm not knocking him for that, actually, because according to his story, that would make sense because, he wasn't sure if the investigation was working for Warner Brothers, right? I'm deep in this. I know all the story beats. And so I do understand. I understand that thing he's saying. He wants to make sure it's a real thing. So once again, he's confirming that this investigation was someone he was comfortable telling things to and did tell things to. And he's also acknowledging that he was defensive at numerous times. Now, it's important to point out he's admitting that because what it seems to me from my experience, because actually I know people, I've actually been in many HR meetings near the end of my run at my previous job. I had to be there for my own accusations, which I had to prove were false. But I also were there for years before that when other people came forward with other things that I had helped make sure that they got it taken care of, which happened several times. And in all those HR meetings, they do what's called de-escalating. It's also in legal means. I've sat in depositions. I've done a lot in my career. And de-escalating is a way for when someone is there interviewing a witness and they need all the intel, you de-escalate and you basically tell them what they want to hear to an extent to make them feel comfortable. So they give you all the information, they feel good after they left the investigation, and so they're being a fair and, unbiased investigator. None of that proves anything. None of that proves that Ray is correct or was right or that what happened should warrant what Ray wants for an outcome. See, that's the biggest thing. I'm going to keep repeating that in all the videos I do. Ray doesn't get to decide the outcome of a third-party investigation. Now, many are saying, well, Warner Media is just crooked and they're covering it up, et cetera. So then you're implying that this third-party investigation also is covering up because then nothing was there. If something was really bad, that they're covering it up and letting Warner Media just take whatever they want. And Warner Media now is, the people that Ray and everyone else has been cool with, who greenlit the Snyder Cut and everything else. Now you're saying the entire company is shady and covering up awful things to keep Walter Hamada in. I mean, again, like the level of conspiracy going here, like what happened? What happened that it's so heavy that we need to never have Walter Hamada work again? Jeff Johns is still there. He's somehow stopped complaining about Jeff Johns, who now is clearly and always has been clearly still working for Warner Media. But now it's all Walter Hamada who must have, thrown Ray and the investigation on their bus. It had to have been Walter Hamada. I mean, I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. How could Walter Hamada stop this third-party investigation and this implication that Jason Kilar and the other heads of AT&T wouldn't be paying attention or getting more information about this directly from the third party or HR reps there is just asinine to me. Walter Hamada is not that high enough that he gets to just bring it to me first and then I'll hand it. No, it doesn't work that way. So I understand anyway, so this next part here, to me, this doesn't prove anything. It's the person, what the person's responding to? Ray's defensive, I'm assuming, because Warner Brothers put out this statement, and that's why he didn't want to do any of this. Warner Brothers apparently lied here and said the actor won't meet with the investigation. Their specific quotes were, Warner claims it's false, as a Fisher, after insisting that Warner Media hire a third-party investigator to look into his complaints, has declined to speak to the investigator after multiple attempts. Warner Brothers' statement says that he failed to provide any specific and credible allegations of misconduct. It also implies that Fisher's disagreements about the character development of Cyborg under creative differences are a normal part of the production process, and that a film's writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. So it's just all of this is clearly in response to the investigator knowing why Ray has been, on the defense. And so knowing that, and knowing that Ray is now done all this, now listen to her compliments that Ray's trying to show off as evidence, which it's not.
You've been a gentleman, and I'll say you've been a man of your word. And that is what we have reported to the company, which is that you told us you would give us names. You gave us names. You told us you would meet with us on a particular day at a particular time. You never tried to reschedule it. You met us. You even gave us information after that. You've been a man of your word. You are someone that we have found extremely credible. And the fact that you risked so much is part of what lends itself to your credibility. But just also, the facts speak for themselves.
He cuts it off right there, which who knows if there was a but or anything else. He's controlling what you hear in this conversation. And so keep that in mind. It's all marketing on Ray's part. But everything he said there, you've been on time. You've met with the investigators. These are all things that they said he didn't do. You provided specific credible allegations. You gave us names. The investigator is acknowledging, okay, you finally did all the things that Warner said you didn't, and you stepped up and you finally given us the intel. So again, all this proves is they have all the information. So this clip that he's doing is yet another just like force. Oh, you will believe it's true because she told you that I'm credible. Just because she tells you you're credible doesn't mean that they agree with the outcome. It's like that's the reality. You might still be you absolutely could be telling the truth, and there were absolutely some uncomfortable moments on that set. There's uncomfortable moments on a lot of sets. That's why the specifics matter. And all these fans out there, the I Stand With Ray Fisher people, who are just hammering people, trying to just, how dare you not do this? And now they're going after Gal. I got a whole video I'm doing about that because that outcome is terrifying, what Ray is letting his audience do. For what? Everything they've earned and gotten through the Snyder Cut and everything is about to go out the window because Ray can't let this go. And for what? Gal, who everyone says, yeah, but Gal took care of her issues. That's what a person does, an adult does. You do it in the moment if there's a problem, and you go take care of it. And she did, and she's made it clear, like she has said she took care of it. She wasn't there for what happened to Ray. Ben Affleck was just quoted today talking about the hell of the Justice League shoot because he was an alcoholic during that shoot. It sounds like there was a lot of problems going on in that movie beyond just whatever was going on with Ray. There's a lot of problems. People didn't like Zack's movie. The crew were verbally, Kevin Smith said this in a quote, and I believe it. The crew was just bashing Zack Snyder's movie while on set and while they were changing it. And as effed up as that is, it's not a criminal thing. Like that. It's totally lame. It's totally not okay in my book. It sucks. But that means Walter Hamada should never work again? I mean, it's now come to, well, he said something racist, and it's like I got to be careful of that word because they won't let me say it too many times. I don't know why, but it dings it limited. But that's a big charge. You can't label a charge like that against someone like Walter Hamada and then just assume that we have, yeah, well, Ray must be telling the truth. Dude, what? The things he showed in the Forbes article proved false. They had to take it out. Forbes magazine took them out and fired the writer. I know people who worked at Forbes. They were pissed because they were now legally up for challenges that Ray couldn't prove. These are all facts that people don't want to ignore. That they don't want to accept. They just want to ignore it and believe and stand with Ray. And I want to add one more thing to wrap this up. Who is this woman on the phone call? And did Ray get her permission? Now, it's important to talk about, I don't know how he recorded this or where. In certain states, there is a one-party consent. And Ray might be in New York, in which case, yeah, he's allowed to record a conversation in secret. It's not criminal and not prohibited if you're in a one-party state, as long as it's for personal use. You don't need to obtain consent or let the other person know. Things change if the matter is addressed with a claim for damages, or if this could happen, or if the recordings have been shared without the consent of the participants. Even worse, if the recording is sold to a third party or released in public without the consent of the participants, then this could be considered a criminal offense. So, I don't know. Maybe he got permission, but I mean, clearly the lawyers were recording him, so maybe he was allowed to say, "Well, I'm going to record you as well." But did he also say, "And I may release this if I need to"? It's like he needs to tell us that. People should ask him that very clearly, so he answers that definitively, so we can support this clip. Because even if he has a right from a one-party state to record this conversation, did he get her permission? Did he get her consent? Or did he just put this woman's voice out there as part of this thing without actually getting her approval? Because that would really upset me. That's not cool. You took her out of context. You've now put her in the spotlight. Who is she? Who was that? Why are you lying? All those things now come into play because Ray has to keep prodding and pointing and see, they told me I was credible and that they believe me. That's not actually what happened. All of this shows, once again, Ray's so emotionally involved that he cannot accept an outcome that he didn't prep for. Like he is demanding what he expects. And that's why I'm fighting this fight. I've lived through this. I lived through this in October 2017 when one woman continued to, by the minute, try to destroy me without any evidence herself. She had no evidence herself. She thought I deleted my text messages. I didn't. She couldn't provide text messages to dispute mine because she knew she was caught. And in the moment, I couldn't come forward because I did do something wrong. I was married, and and that was my problem. That's my hell to bear for the rest of my life. And the reality, though, is what she did was she kept hammering me with anything else she could find, and she spun everything she could to fit her narrative. And Ray's doing that right now. Ray's not coming forward with, this happened to me. He's speaking on behalf of others. He's speaking about out of anger because I do believe there were creative differences. That is a fact from that set. They removed his whole part. He didn't want to say booyah. Those are realities. Now, that doesn't justify, obviously, if there was, an attitudes on set towards Ray and everything else, but for Ray to sort of not admit that he was difficult or there were problems from his end too is ridiculous. There were problems all across the board, all over that movie. It was a mess of a movie, and I think everyone's just trying to move on from that movie. But Ray has decided, no, I'm not moving on. It's too big. Accountability is greater than entertainment. And it's never going to end. It's never going to end. But this audio doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. It's only going to keep fueling this base to do whatever he says, and that is scary. Because Ray, at this point, it's over. If you've got real evidence, why are you waiting? Drop the real evidence. Tell us what happened. That's your last move now. Do you got Hamada on tape and you're going to reveal it? Okay, now's the time. Put it all out there. I will always report the truth if it comes out. In the meanwhile, innocent until proven guilty. And Warner Media, whether you like it or not, and this third party, this woman on the tape, they've given the verdict, Ray. So you don't want to accept it, but they've said it's time to move on. And that came from the top. Ann Sarnoff, head of Warner Media. It's from the top, Ray. You're now putting Zach and the Snyder Cut in jeopardy. For what? What happened? You're acting like somebody in your family got murdered. I want to know what warrants this level of tenacity. What happened? Whew, that's it. Done. We got lots more coming, though, over here on Popcorn Planet. Make sure to subscribe or check out these videos. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave a comment down below. Engage. Like.